A pretrial motions hearing continues for the alleged mastermind behind the killing of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. Hernandez Govan is facing several charges, including first-degree murder for the 2021 shooting. Govan, one of the prime suspects in the rapper's death, is now out of jail on a $90,000 bond.
After his release on $90,000 bond, Hernandez Govan, the alleged mastermind behind Young Dolph's murder, skipped his court date, which was July 28, 2025, and the judge didn't go easy on him.
What could be happening is that you could be in jail, and it's a whole lot easier to supervise you there.
So far, Yo Gotti still hasn't made any denial on the involvement he has with the shooting of Young Dolph. Let's get to the heart of what could be Memphis rap's deepest conspiracy, as this has been on for years.
He's being charged with being the mastermind of this murder.
Following the trend of the 2021 murder of Young Dolph, Hernandez Govan is now the center of focus. Although Govan says he's not guilty, prosecutors say he set the plan in motion. The allegation is that Govan orchestrated a hit on Young Dolph, real name Adolph Thornton Jr., using a $100,000 bounty supplied by Anthony Big Jook Mims, who is Yo Gotti's older brother. Now we know Young Dolph was shot and killed on November 17, 2021 at Makeda's Homemade Butter Cookies in South Memphis. Almost immediately, speculation swirled that this wasn't a robbery. It was a targeted assassination.
And prosecutors say the rapper's murder was ordered after he wrote lyrics that disrespected someone from another record label.
Authorities later named 4 people connected to the crime, and these are Justin Johnson, Straight Drop, the alleged shooter, Cornelius Smith, the alleged getaway driver and shooter, Shundale Barnett, an accessory after the fact, and Hernandez Govan, the alleged mastermind. Now Govan allegedly received the bounty order from Big Jook, then passed it down to Johnson and Smith. And that's not from vague sources. That's from Cornelius Smith's own mouth during a sworn proffer. Multiple outlets broke this wide open in mid-2024 after court documents became public.
That his client, an aspiring rapper known as Straight Drop, wanted to be part of the CMG record label and is innocent. He places blame on a third defendant charged in Dolph's death, Hernandez Govan.
On September 23, 2024, the jury heard Cornelius Smith take the stand. He confessed that he and Justin Johnson were the 2 men on the surveillance footage outside Makeda's Homemade Butter Cookies, the tragic location where Young Dolph was gunned down in broad daylight on November 17, 2021. The footage showed them emerging from a white Mercedes shortly after Dolph drove into the parking lot and then opening fire. Smith later stated Dolph suffered 22 bullet wounds before collapsing alone on the pavement. Smith testified that he identified himself and Johnson in the video, confirming their presence at the crime scene and implicating them directly in the shooting. He and Johnson were promised $40,000 each to carry out the hit. Hernandez Govan allegedly collected his cut $10,000 from each shooter, acting as the intermediary. Furthermore, Smith revealed that he only received $800 before his arrest. His lawyer, he said, later received $50,000 wired by Big Jook after the fact. Smith also described where he was emotionally at the time, a man devastated by the loss of his 9-year-old son, numbing the world with pills, and pushed toward violence for financial survival. "I wasn't feeling nothing at the time. I was trying to get some money," he said when asked how the killing felt.
The jury can find Johnson guilty or not guilty on 3 different charges. Number 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. 2, first-degree murder. And the 3rd, a convicted felon in possession of a firearm.
Johnson, facing charges for first-degree murder, conspiracy, and weapons crimes, stood accused of firing the fatal shots. His attorney challenged Smith's credibility aggressively, arguing that video evidence alone didn't prove identity and that Smith was testifying to protect himself. Nonetheless, the jury was convinced. On September 26, 2024, Johnson was convicted on all counts and handed a life sentence in prison. The verdict came just 4 days after Smith's revealing testimony. Smith's testimony makes Hernandez Govan the critical link. It's not merely that the shooters trusted him, but that he facilitated access to payment, instructions, and coordination. Govan allegedly met multiple times with Johnson and Smith, relaying the bounty instructions from Big Jook and ensuring the plan went forward. According to court filings, Govan is indicted on charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder, all tied to his alleged role in organizing the logistics. His encirclement by financial evidence, logistics, and sworn declarations underscores why prosecutors insist he's the mastermind. With Johnson convicted and Jamarcus Johnson already pleading guilty as an accessory, the pattern narrows the focus on Govan. He's now arguably the sole person in a position to confirm or deny the entire alleged conspiracy.
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Because I think even the district attorney said, I didn't hear this, but I understand it was said on the news, that he's not the shooter, he's not a killer.
Govan's own words don't help his case. In 2022, Govan posted cryptic Facebook messages about sacrifices and becoming a god shortly before Dolph's murder. When asked about it in court, he claimed it was an unrelated part of artistic expression. But prosecutors are pushing to include those statements in the upcoming trial. After he was initially denied bail, Govan was granted a $90,000 bond in May 2024, which he promptly posted. The judge allowed it under the condition that he maintained strict house arrest and electronic monitoring. The decision drew outrage on social media. Many couldn't believe someone accused of planning the murder of a beloved public figure could walk free before trial. Originally, Govan's trial was scheduled for July 28, 2025. Due to delays, it has now been rescheduled to August 18, 2025, according to public records shared by court watchers. Legal experts suggest the delay might be a tactic either from the defense seeking time to discredit the testimony or from prosecutors building a wider Rico-style case, possibly implicating more players. The real breakthrough came in June 2024, during a proffer interview with Smith. In it, he named Govan directly. Smith claims Govan met with him and straight dropped several times, explained the terms, and told them the bounty came from Big Jook, $100,000 to take Dolph out. According to Smith, Govan even promised protection from retaliation, allegedly assuring them that everything had been cleared from the top. This aligns disturbingly with rumors that began circulating shortly after Dolph's death. Many Memphis locals believed Gotti, or someone in his camp, was involved. There had been a long-standing feud between Gotti and Dolph, which escalated in 2017 when Dolph released a diss track titled "Play With Yo." That same year, Dolph was shot in Los Angeles but survived. Memphis isn't just watching its torn. Young Dolph was more than a rapper. He was a philanthropist, businessman, and local legend. He gave away turkeys every Thanksgiving. He bought foreclosed properties to flip into community housing. His Paper Route Empire label helped launch several local artists. In contrast, Hernandez Govan is a controversial figure even outside this case. He's been tied to drug conspiracies and gang activity in the past, though never convicted. His daughter, Lotta Cash Desto, a rising rapper, was shot and killed in Houston in 2022. Govan himself claimed her death was spiritual karma for what he had done. These statements, recorded in deleted social media posts, are now being cited by the prosecution. Now the stake is this: if convicted, Govan faces life in prison without parole. A well-circulated report by Moguldom.com breaks it down further. The article, titled "Popular Hip-Hop YouTuber," here are the pieces coming together pointing to CMG and Gotti and murder of young Dolph, laid out several key connections that caught fans' attention. Here's what it says. Hernandez Govan allegedly had direct contact with CMG associates. Govan's daughter was killed in a shooting. Some allege this may have been a revenge move tied to street politics. Big Jook and Govan had previously been spotted at similar events in Memphis. It's not confirmed, but all signs suggest Govan had more than just a random vendetta against young Dolph. There were deeper ties. Memphis isn't just a city, it's a chessboard of affiliations, history, and grudges. Dolph represented Paper Route Empire, an independent movement that was rising fast, even threatening the dominance of Gotti's CMG, collective music group. The two had a long history of shots fired lyrically and allegedly in the streets. Fans online point to multiple incidents where Dolph was targeted in the past, including the 2017 shooting in Hollywood, where Dolph was hit multiple times. The earlier Charlotte shooting, where over 100 bullets were fired into his SUV. None of those attempts were proven to be connected to CMG, but fans haven't forgotten the timing. You need to understand that the beef between Gotti and young Dolph wasn't just lyrical, it had real street consequences.
Basically, Gotti wanted to sign young Dolph at one time. Young Dolph considers himself as his own boss. He says no, and I think Gotti took offense to that.
After Gotti offered to sign young Dolph and young Dolph didn't buy the idea, Gotti took offense, and it's been war since then. Let's rewind.
There's been several attempts made on young Dolph's life, and he survived. All of them.
In 2017, Dolph was shot outside the Loews Hotel in Hollywood. Police said Gotti was a person of interest at the time, but he wasn't charged. That same year, Dolph dropped Play With Yo BH, a scathing diss toward Gotti, calling him jealous, weak, and fake. And to Gotti, this was disrespectful. And now, with Gotti's brother allegedly involved in the biggest hit in Memphis rap history, the legacy of that beef is under a microscope. Despite online theories and circumstantial clues, the court hasn't tied Yo Gotti directly to the case. But that hasn't stopped fans and media from doing their own investigation. Some conspiracy-minded fans claim CMG used shell companies to fund lower-level operatives. Phone records, yet unreleased to the public, may show more contact between Gotti, Jook, and Govan than expected. With this backdrop, Govan allegedly receiving orders from Big Jook doesn't seem far-fetched to many in the Memphis community.
A deadly shooting in Hickory Hill with connections to Memphis rapper Yo Gotti.
Since Govan's name came up in court and Big Jook was linked to the case in public discourse, fans began asking, where is Yo Gotti in all of this? Yo Gotti has remained completely silent on the trial. No statements, no interviews, and most notably, nowhere near the courthouse. Some fans even pointed out that Gotti hasn't been spotted in Memphis at all since the trial updates began making headlines. And the twist? In January 2024, Anthony Big Jook Mims was murdered outside a funeral home in Memphis, just days before he was reportedly going to be called in for questioning. Local Memphis news confirmed that Big Jook was shot and killed in a targeted hit. This raised even more eyebrows. Some conspiracy theories online suggest this wasn't just a retaliation killing, but a cleanup operation to keep certain people from talking. With Big Jook gone and Yo Gotti silent, all eyes are on Hernandez Govan.
Man once named as a person of interest in young Dolph's murder has now also been killed. Family members confirmed Joshua Taylor was found shot in Orange Mound yesterday afternoon, leaving that community on edge as they worry who might be next.
Not long after Dolph's death in November 2021, rumors of retaliatory violence swept the city. Authorities tried to keep calm, deploying police to Yo Gotti's restaurant to prevent escalation, though no attacks were confirmed. Several individuals believed to be connected, whether as persons of interest or suspects, ended up dead. In June 2023, Joshua CEO TZ Taylor, a man sought in relation to the murder, was found shot dead inside his vehicle in Orange Mound. Investigators had hoped he could shed light on connections to Justin Johnson and Cornelia Smith. Years before, Lotta Cash Desto, Hernandez's daughter and a Houston rapper, was killed in a brazen shooting. Her death is linked later via Hernandez Govan, who had posted cryptic statements hinting at spiritual repercussions for his actions. Earlier narrative but aligns, further fueling speculation that each death in the circle was part of a larger pattern of violence and retribution. Once court testimony came out, especially Cornelia Smith naming Big Jook and Govan memes, tweets, and YouTube exposés spread like wildfire. One viral tweet put it bluntly, Yo Gotti's name isn't in court, but his camp keeps getting dragged. Memphis knows, yet Charis Loves on X. Titles like Yo Gotti is hiding hint at conspiracy or fear. The suggestion is that the more Govan talks, the closer some think the court may come to someone much higher up. Still, these theories aren't facts, they are speculation, presented against a backdrop of missing social media posts, quiet agencies, and silent public figures. Young Dolph repeatedly refused CMG's advances. He even released diss tracks criticizing CMG and their number 2 guy, Big Jook. Smith claims the $100,000 bounty came straight from Big Jook, routed through Govan. Govan walks free on bond, delays push his trial further back. Big Jook is dead, Yo Gotti has said nothing. Dolph's label-building legacy continues. Meanwhile, social media lights up with claims that the trigger was paid for at the level of a major label feud. Even though none of this is proven, many fans believe this is the moment when truth could finally break if Govan flips or surprises drop during trial. It's not just Gotti fans who are worried, but some believe that this could trigger a larger federal investigation. If prosecutors can connect Big Jook's alleged involvement to a wider pattern of violence tied to CMG or its artists, that opens the door for Rico charges, a tactic prosecutors love using against record labels suspected of double lives. Gotti's best hope might be staying far, far away, but if Hernandez testifies to save himself, that silence could come back to haunt him. As the courtroom drama intensifies, all attention now shifts to Hernandez Govan's defense team. Govan's lawyers face a heavy task, dismantling the prosecution's case and creating doubt, much of it aimed at the man at center stage. At heart, their argument is straightforward. There's no direct proof linking Govan to the crime, no surveillance footage showing him handing out instructions, no phone records capturing conspiratorial conversations, no money trail tying him to the alleged $10,000 bounty. The only person accusing him is Cornelius Smith, a cooperating witness with his own incentives. As the defense frequently reminds the court, Smith was facing serious charges himself and may be saying what the prosecutors needed to hear to reduce his own sentence. The defense also keeps raising concerns about venue bias. They've argued that in a city like Memphis, still deeply emotional over young Dolph's death, the pretrial media storm could unfairly sway potential jurors. Their motion to move the trial to another county was denied, but the attempt underscores Govan's anxiety over local prejudice. Meanwhile, the trial date itself has shifted multiple times. Originally set for March 10, 2025, it was pushed to July and is now scheduled for August 18, 2025. The defense is painting these delays not as stalling tactics, but as necessary breathing room, time needed to fully scrutinize Smith's credibility and to ensure discovery is complete. Govan turned down a plea deal back in late 2023, signaling confidence in his legal team's ability to poke holes in the prosecution's case, or perhaps suggesting they expect someone else to flip next. One of their core strategies is to attack the chain of custody of the allegations. Their aim? To show that Smith's testimony is the only thread connecting Govan to the murder, and that it's unverifiable by independent records. His money statements and inconsistencies are prime targets in defense cross-examination, alongside efforts to question whether Smith's memory could have been influenced by others or by informal recounting after making his plea deal. Another component of Govan's defense centers on character and composure in court. Over several pretrial hearings, Govan has been described by the judge as calm and respectful behaviors the defense team wants brought to bear on jurors, not until his last missed court appearance, but in hopes that won't bring down his defense. Behind closed doors, defense attorneys could be preparing expert witnesses, potentially forensic psychologists or independent investigators tasked with analyzing Smith's reliability and the lack of corroboration. Phone records, if they can be subpoenaed, are expected to be examined closely. Even small anomalies could cast doubt on prosecution claims. The next critical milestone is in mid-August 2025, when both sides are under deadline to exchange expert witness lists and finalize jury instructions. This is when the real chess match begins. Expectations are for lengthy voir dire proceedings to weed out potentially biased jurors, especially given how public the case has become. Meanwhile, online legal commentators, particularly YouTubers like Just Say No to SCO and Set D Record Straight, have started dissecting the publicly available transcripts. Many emphasize gaps in the prosecution's narrative, the absence of corroborative footage, ambiguities in timeline, and Smith's evolving statements. If the defense can raise sufficient doubt about Smith's motives, memory, or consistency, they hope to tip the scales in Govan's favor. The goal is to create reasonable doubt enough to prevent a conviction even if jurors find elements of the story concerning. If the defense succeeds in undercutting the credibility of the key witness, Govan's own risk of a life sentence without parole becomes significantly less certain. That said, the stakes remain grave. Prosecution still has surveillance footage that appears to show Smith and Johnson at the scene. They still plan to introduce phone logs and financial entries if available to suggest possible contact between Govan and the shooter team, and with the burden of proof resting entirely on them, any misstep could weaken their position. So at this stage, Govan's legal path is clear: discredit the lone witness, expose cracks in discovery, and maintain his composure in court. And his decision to reject a plea deal? That choice underscores either extreme confidence or high risk. But should he be found guilty, a life sentence is all but inevitable. As we await the trial's start, this defense playbook hangs in balance. Govan's fate may well depend on whether the jury sees Cornelius Smith as a credible eyewitness or simply a man trying to save himself.
Well, for 5 straight years, late rapper Young Dolph made sure that needy families in Memphis were able to celebrate Thanksgiving. Dolph's turkey giveaways became one of the most anticipated events of the year in Memphis for literally hundreds of people in our community.
Young Dolph remains an iconic figure in Memphis, his independence running paper route empire, giving away turkeys every Thanksgiving. paying for repairs and communities cemented his legacy long after his death. Dolph's posthumous music releases have kept his name in the spotlight, while murals, charitable initiatives, tributes continue reminding Memphis of who he was. But Dolph's shadow also looms over those accused in his death. Justin Johnson received a life sentence plus 35 years, reflecting the prosecution's view of the murder as a stone-cold execution, fueled by hubris and bottom-line payoff money. Meanwhile, Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, received probation after helping suspects post-shooting, though his record could be cleared if he completes the diversion program. Cornelius Smith, the prosecution's key witness, isn't off the hook either. He still faces trial and prison time, albeit reduced with cooperation. In just weeks, Hernandez Govan will be back in court. The internet has already decided he might hold the single most pivotal testimony yet, if he cracks, if he confesses. If Govan is found guilty, the narrative of a deeper network linking CMG, street politics, and multiple violent outcomes solidifies. If he beats the case, fans might see him as the lone scapegoat, street chaos a symptom of unresolved grievances, and Gotti's silence as conviction or intimidation. Either way, few believe this ends with Govan's verdict. Anyone affiliated with Dolph, CMG, or Memphis rap history is watching closely. Yes, they have for the past 3 to 4 years. Young Dolph's murder didn't just end a life, it ignited a justice spiral, legal, cultural, spiritual, social. Chapter by chapter, we've traced how shooters, witnesses, and alleged masterminds may connect. In this final chapter, we've looked at how the fallout still burns Memphis and the internet.